Yo, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another beautiful episode of the Paradigm Shift. Like, subscribe, bell to stay notified. Jumping right into it, I think we got ourselves a liar. I think we got, ladies and gentlemen, we got one. We got one. Yeah, we got one. Okay, this bitch is lying. This one right here, I don't care. I don't care who she is. First of all, you're not coming for Salma Hayek. You're not coming for Salma Hayek. You're not coming for Salma Hayek. All right? We don't do that here. I need to explain yet again to my chat. I would throw a grenade into a kennel full of puppies if I could get recast in the past as Quentin Tarantino's role in From Dawn to Dusk. I'm sorry. She bad. It's clipped. Like, what do you want? Icon. Also non-problematic. So, like, mind my bonk horniness. Like, what are we doing? Second of all, without the bias and more integral journey of with a more, why do I have? Oh, that's what they rolled out today. A selection for Twitter Blue. You weirdos, bro. Right above your profile too. Oh my god. Okay. The Balenciaga pedo scandal continues. I've already done a video, which may or may not have been released by the time of this video, on the Balenciaga story. It's a complete right-wing grift. I've already proven it to you. I've given you the quite literal evidence of this being another one of those nothing burgers. Here is my thing. I've told you in a previous video that you probably have not seen at some point or another, that also is probably going to be uploaded either before or after this one, where Elon Musk is just straight up lying to you and using the child sex, I'm stopping child sex trafficking type thing as a cover to really distract from his absolute horrendous mood, which we're seeing in real time because at the time of this recording of this, we've already seen Elon Musk has been booed out of the building when facing his first live public crowd that is not just a bunch of people that like to jerk him off on Twitter. Now, we're down here to Dominique Samuels. Sorry. The CEO of Balenciaga's parent company, Kering, sells sickening child sex mannequins. This is just one example. The CEO's name is Francois-Henri Pinault, Salma Hayek's husband. Let's make him viral. These are all featuring prepubescent children. In my view, these people are sick, demonic pedophiles. We need criminal investigations, and we need them now. Francois earns Kering, Balenciaga's parent company. He also owns Christie's, an art auction site. If you search Jake and Dino Chapman on Christie's, you will find numerous mannequins made by them, which will feature new children. Just got an email from a following. Supreme, who are also, and this is how I know it was bullshit. Supreme, who are also reportedly going to be working with Balenciaga, has also worked on skateboards with the artist Jake and Dino Chapman, who also designed the child sex mannequins. It just keeps going back to Balenciaga. Also, Balenciaga has dropped his performative lawsuit. I did say this would be the case on my Instagram. Instantly, an artist, James Chapman, has made comments about children I say were pretty weird. He has claimed children aren't human yet, and as a result, wasn't concerned with seeing them artwork rated as those for the age of over 18. Here's the thing. Look at the comments. Conspiracy shit. Absolutely disgusting, but I'm sure it's just the photographer's fault. So if you take 5 seconds, which I did, which I'm not going to show you because you could take the same 5 seconds, and if I did show you, you wouldn't believe me anyway. Go to this website, right? I'm begging you to look. I'm begging you to look at the fucking website, you fucking morons. Holy shit, bro. I didn't even want to get mad today. But that's how much this dick writing like has to stop. Bro, it is clearly one of those fringe fucking websites. He just owns the website. There are people who buy this fucking art for whatever fucking weird statement it's supposed to mean. That's it. It's Q files, exploring the universe with Q files. Like, oh my god. Like, I get that it's weird. Strangesounds.org has been banned from ad networks, is now entirely reader support. I wonder why. It's all a big club, the pedo club. Oh man. You mean the same artist has done works with multiple people? They must trust it for something. There must be a market for something. This is the work of the rather well-known British artist, the Chapman brothers. Stop spreading misinformation. Also, this will lead to high being blamed because, in case anyone hadn't noticed, eventually a woman will be blamed for everything and everything. It's concerning you would describe this as art. And then it's just shit like this, which leads me to the next thing. It already fucking happened. You have some explaining to do. The Christie's website features a series of arts with, that's just, this their work fetched from hundreds of dollars to more than five. Like, that's just art. Fine. Like, that's why I don't. Yo, I feel like I'm about to be so classist when I say this. It's why poor people should like really start to really take a look at fine art. You may not afford it, but that's a whole ecosystem you'll never be like aware of. Like, sorry, until you just go there. Not to excuse it, not to, oh, you're making excuses for these clearly weird. Like, it's just niggas over there is weird, bro. Niggas over there is weird. I done told you that so many times. Like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? There's nothing you can do. I'm sorry. It may be terrible to have an association, but like, you really are pulling strings. And then look at this. This is why I'd be mad, bro. Like, don't have a profile picture of you literally with a tinfoil hat. I think you're a bot. You joined in November of 2022. It's December 12th, 2022. Retweeting libs of TikTok. And you see, when you start to get into a cycle of things, you start to find some connections between the type of people that retweet certain things and the type of people that believe in certain things and will say these things straight, or not straight to, I should say, on the internet to these celebrities' faces. Here's the problem. The person who's dropping the Twitter files is also a person who has been making the rounds in conservative grift networks.
Why don't we start with the obvious here, Matt, which is that it's super weird that we're talking to each other. So like 15 years ago, this would have been almost unthinkable, right? I was working at Breitbart circa about 2012, 2013, and you were writing for Rolling Stone, and it was, pitched battles in the streets and all the rest. And yet now here we are. So what exactly changed, do you think, that's now made conversations like this possible on the one hand and forbidden on the other?
Well, I think there's been a significant changing of.
None of these motherfuckers got chins, bro. None of these motherfuckers got jaws. It's always people I could beat up in a fight that act like because they be on Twitter and be getting extra hand jobs from, yo, this dude, this person is a cock muncher. They both cock munchers, but right now, bald-headed dude bigger cock muncher than the other one, all right? I'm just saying. And it's always the supreme, like, you could tell that he was bullied, and now he's like, look at me, I'm breaking the big story on Elon Musk and how Twitter changed the 2020 election. Nobody gives a fuck about Twitter. Nobody gives a fuck about Twitter. Nobody gives a fuck about Twitter. The only reason that news networks were covering it was because it was getting so much fucking traction on Twitter that they had to cover it because it was actually affecting fluent foreign policy and as well as domestic policy, you sons of bitches.
Of what the mentality is on what used to be my side of the aisle. I mean, people like me, I'm basically like a middle of the road ACLU old school liberal.
Punchable.
I believe in free speech, civil liberties,
dick riders,
due process, all those things.
Racists.
People like me are really kind of dinosaurs, are no longer welcome on the new left, which has taken this dramatic turn towards censoriousness and toward a more authoritarian approach to some problems.
Which leads me to point number 2. And yes, I am absolutely stealing this from Cody. But look, you're making me do the fascism. You're going to make me choose the fascist because the intolerant left is making me accept the pronouns and the things. And my brain, like, oh my God, bro. Like, oh my God, you're mad because you get no bitches. You're mad because you get no pussy. No woman looks at you with a desire, with anything but contempt, and it's shattering you from the inside out. And I can see it because I've seen men like you my entire life. Weak little beady-eyed motherfuckers that think that because they've somehow lucked their way into a situation that gives them some type of power over other people, that they themselves are the superior people.
I think there's a belief that the old leftist approach or the old liberal approach is ineffective. And so, we've all been sort of kicked out of the club, basically. So without changing any point of view at all, really, suddenly people like you and me are media bedfellows.
Yeah, Matt, this is something that I find just utterly bewildering, because if you watch sort of the progress of American politics since the 1960s, there's no question that liberalism was winning. I mean, on nearly every front, social front, fiscal front, and maybe even the foreign policy front, maybe.
That is literally not fucking true. That is literally not. Reagan was right fucking there.
But on the first two, for sure. I mean,
we lost the Vietnam War after finishing off fascism.
There's no question that the left had been in the ascendancy my entire lifetime. And so the sort of radical shift to, you guys are wildly ineffective, stop talking to people on the other side, we can't have free speech, we need to lock this stuff down to avoid offending people. Where do you think this is coming from?
I have no idea, but I totally agree with you.
I have no idea where it's coming from, but I absolutely know that it's real. So you both don't have any idea of the conception of where this started. It just started. So you made it up. Wow, Ben Shapiro making something up? The hell you say?
When I was growing up, there would have been no thought at all of conservatism as an attractive ideology for a young person. Like that was completely out of the realm of possibility. But now, I think you see it very significantly with something like humor. There's just no sense of humor on the political left now. And that
Skinny Cartman over here wants to argue that there's no comedy on the political left. Mr. Burns over here want to argue that there's no comedy on the political left. That's crazy to me. Because counterpoint.
You got a family? Yes. Fuck them, huh?
Principal Skinner, that's where I was going just next. Jesus Christ. Am I the one who's out of touch? Nah, it's everybody else who is.
No sense of humor on the political left now. And that used to be the exclusive province of the political left once upon a time.
What the fuck are you talking about? Why I left the left video incoming in 3, 2, 1. So let's change course a little bit real quick, because at this point in time in the video, you've heard, you've seen, you're wondering what the connection is between these people, Elon Musk, and this entire right-wing grift, right? Well, it's about to get real bad. Remember how we started this, where there was this Balenciaga pedo story. Remember this as well, that in the recent times, Elon Musk has tweeted about the woke mind virus, along with Twitter Blue. And along with us knowing that he's in debt, when you start to put things together, things start to make a little bit more sense. So let's break it apart a little, shall we? The stuff uncovered in the Twitter whistleblower report is much crazier than anything in the Twitter files, but it's so much less politically, tribally salient, so it's got no attention. Going to do a thread of some of the craziest things, in no particular order. Twitter didn't monitor employee computers at all. It was not uncommon for employees to install spyware on work devices. Although against policy, it was commonplace for people to install whatever software they wanted on their work systems. Twitter employees were repeatedly found to be intentionally installing spyware on their work computers at the request of external organizations. Twitter learned of this several times only by accident or because of having employees self-reporting. In other words, in addition to a large portion of the employee computers having software updates disabled, system firewalls turned off, and remote desktop enabled for non-approved purposes, it was repeatedly demonstrated that until Twitter leadership would stumble across and Are you seeing a green box? That's not good. That's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. There we go. Anyway, back to the show. Twitter leadership would stumble across endpoint and employee computer programs. External people or organizations had more awareness of activity on some of Twitter employee computers than Twitter itself had. Twitter does not have separate development, test, staging, and production environments. At least 5,000 employees had privileged access to production systems. A fundamental engineering and security principle is that access to live production environments should be limited as much as possible. Engineers should mostly work in separate development, test, and or staging environments, using test data, not live customer data. Over a decade prior, companies like Google moved development to segregated test systems, but at Twitter, engineers built, tested, and developed new software directly in production with access to live customer data and other sensitive information in Twitter's system. This ongoing arrangement, almost unheard of in modern tech companies, caused repeated problems for Twitter and bad software deployments and significantly reduces the work an attacker needs to do to acquire credentials with extremely sensitive access. Twitter's practice was a huge red flag for job candidates who universally expressed disbelief. One particular candidate for Vice President of Information Technology, IT, considered withdrawing his application on the accurate rationale that Twitter's lack of basic engineering hygiene in their arrangement presaged major headaches. On the issue that led to the FTC complaint in 2011 and the July 2020 hack, the materials did not contain the overall numbers, which were getting worse. Instead, the materials took a small cherry-picked subset of data that can be made to look like a positive trend and turned that into a graph with a downward trajectory. The graph misleadingly suggesting that Twitter was making significant progress in reducing access to production systems. Much knew that the actual underlying data showed that at the end of 2021, 51% of the 11,000 full-time employees had privileged access to Twitter's production systems, a 5% increase from the 46% of total employees in February of 2021 that Mudge had shared in his initial findings delivered to the board in early 2021. In 2020, Twitter had security incidents serious enough they had to be reported to the federal government on almost a weekly basis. Meanwhile, Paraj Agarwal was lying about how secure Twitter was. On 1/6, Mudge, the whistleblower, wanted to take action to prevent potential sabotage by a rogue employee. He learned it was not possible for Twitter to secure its production environment. When a violent mob attacked and invaded the U.S. Capitol building in an attempt to prevent Congress from certifying the election, Mudge quickly went to the executive in charge of engineering and asked, how do we seal the production environment? Not knowing if there would be acts of internal protest aligned with the rioters, Mudge did not want any employees accessing or potentially damaging the production environment. It was at this point when he learned that it was impossible to protect the production environment. All engineers had access. There was no logging of who went into the environment or what they did. When Mudge asked what could be done to protect the integrity and stability of the service from a rogue or disgruntled engineer during this heightened period of risk, he learned it was basically nothing. There were no logs, nobody knew where data lived or whether it was critical, and all engineers had some form of critical access to the production environment. Mudge realized that a data center failure could potentially cause the permanent loss of all of Twitter's data. He shared this fact with senior leadership, who instructed him not to put it in writing for the board. A few months later, that exact eventuality almost came true, and only Herculean effort by Twitter engineers prevented permanent irreparable failure. Twitter had no software development life cycle and misled both the FTC and its board about this fact for a decade. Mudge informed Agrawal that there were thousands of failed login attempts to Twitter's engineering system every day. Agrawal did nothing. Twitter did not keep backups of employee computers. They used to, but then the system broke, was never fixed, and execs decided that this was good because it meant they couldn't comply with regulators. Every new employee has access to data they do not need to have access to. Twitter is probably still vulnerable to Log4j to this day. LOL. Log4j. In December 2021, the world discovered that Log4j, a very common piece of software deployed in hundreds of applications across hundreds of millions or billions of computers worldwide, contained a previously unrecognized zero-day security vulnerability. Overnight, a huge number of computers around the globe needed patching, or else they would be easy for adversaries to exploit. Left unaddressed, Log4j lets hackers break into systems, steal passwords, and login information, extract data, and infect networks with malicious software. Log4j was already actively being exploited to compromise computers worldwide by criminals and governments alike. As the most severe computer vulnerability in years, the FTC instructed companies to pursue remediation and that they could request detailed explanation of data on a company's Log4 remediation efforts. In January 2022, Mudge determined and reported to the executive team that because of poor engineering architectural decisions that preceded Mudge's employment, Twitter had over 300 corporate systems and upwards of 10,000 services that might still be affected, but Twitter was unable to thoroughly assess its exposure to Log4j. Twitter does not have licenses for the machine learning models it uses in its most basic products. Twitter knowingly allowed itself to be infiltrated by or otherwise a tool of many governments. The Indian government forced Twitter to hire specific individuals who were government agents who, because of Twitter's basic architectural flaws, would have access to vast amounts of Twitter's sensitive data. Anybody who worked at Twitter all across the globe had access to data that they weren't supposed to have access to. And you motherfuckers are still talking about the wrong thing. This is why I'm doing this, because I'm trying to get you to pay attention and sound the alarm. Something else is going on here, and it's right under your face. And for some reason, you idiots still think that all the accounts that you're seeing that are coming back talking about, yay, I can't believe I'm back on Twitter. Elon Musk is a god. Free speech is here. Ladies and gentlemen, the left will never control this. Is just a bigger ploy to get us to a point where, and excuse me for being fucking irrational on this one, we might end up at some form of conflict created by a megalomaniac who is mad that his wife left him. Twitter executives opted to allow Twitter to become more dependent on revenue coming from Chinese entities, even though the Twitter service is blocked in China. After Chinese entities paid money to Twitter, there were concerns within Twitter that the information that Chinese entities could receive would allow them to identify and learn sensitive information about Chinese users who successfully circumvented the block and other users around the world. Twitter executives knew that accepting Chinese money risked endangering users in China, where employing VPNs or other circumvention technologies to access the platform is prohibited, and elsewhere. Twitter executives understood this constituted a major ethical compromise. Mr. Zatko was told that Twitter was too dependent upon the revenue stream at this point to do anything other than an attempt to increase it. The Nigerian government blocked Twitter in June 2021, then falsely claimed to be in negotiations with Twitter executives. Twitter's failure to correct the false record on many reported non-existent discussions within the Nigerian government permitted Nigeria to negotiate unilaterally through media and dictate unfavorable terms for final resolution. A few months before CTO Parag Agrawal was promoted to CEO. Agrawal suggested to Mudge that Twitter, I'm probably butchering that name, I'm so sorry, sir, person, they, them, Parag, see, respect. Anyway, that Twitter should consider ceding to the Russian Federation censorship and surveillance demands as a new way to grow users in Russia. Although Mr. Agrawal's suggestion was never pursued or implemented, the fact that Twitter's current CEO even suggested Twitter become complicit with the Putin regime is cause for concern about Twitter's effects on U.S. national security. Shortly before Mudge was redacted, Twitter received specific information from a U.S. government source that one or more particular company employees were working on behalf of another particular foreign intelligence agency. After he became CEO, he wanted to present materially misleading information to the board, overriding Mudge's objections. Other employees raised similar objections. Ultimately, it seems the material was shared anyway, and Mudge described the presentation to the board as fraud. Internal review after the meeting confirmed this assessment. Mudge began working on a report to correct the record with the board. As his report neared completion, he was fired. That's all I have for the that's all I have the energy for tonight. I highly recommend reading the full report PDF here. Breaking. Twitter dissolved its Trust and Safety Council. The group of outside experts consulted on a range of issues, including human rights, harassment, suicide prevention, mental health, child sexual exploitation content. Here's a detailed page. Breaking news. Oh wait, it's fake? Oh, that scared the fuck out of me. I thought that was like they had hacked the site. My bad. All U.S. government agencies have been given with Department of just sat up and took notice. The Trusted Safety Council included global advisory orgs of multiple disciplines, tops in their fields. Here's just a sample from mid-November. Oh my God. Why did you delete this? What the fuck is going on? Okay, that makes what I'm about to tell you even worse. Let's talk about Elon Musk's inconsistencies. Elon has created an outrage. Now, most of what I'm about to tell you, we've already talked about in a previous episode. You've already seen it. We're putting it all in one video because it makes sense for people because they like to watch one video. Elon's created an outrage cycle about how Twitter limited the reach of certain accounts, while also having said freedom of speech, not freedom of reach, was his own principle. I've already told you about how that chart is fake. Not doing it again. Elon has accused the previous team of ignoring CSAM while firing wide swaths of the CSAM team, which technically I think we just saw. Elon threatens leaguers allegedly. Elon threatens leaguers with lawsuits while posting about how he's a free speech absolutist and selectively leaking tons of files himself, which we did see, and which made no sense because it's like, if you're opening it, why don't you open anything else? Elon declared sunlight is the best disinfectant, but refused to release internal files to major news outlets, only to handpick columnists, even when Jack specifically requests his email archives published. He did say sunlight is the best disinfectant. And Jack is ready to talk about it. Jack snapping. Elon says hate speech will be deboosted but not banned, but then bans Kanye West for his swastika post, which was awful but was very much not illegal or inciting violence. Elon, based on his words. Elon promises no unbans will happen without convening a content moderation council that later decides whether or not to unban Donald Trump by Twitter poll. Twitter will be forming a content moderation council with widely diverse viewpoints. No major content decisions or account reinstatements will happen before that council convenes. Reinstate for former President Trump. Elon admits that the poll is filled with bots and trolls, but then refers to the poll results as the voice of the people. The bot attack is impressive to watch. Bot and troll armies might be running out of steam soon. Some interesting lessons to clean up future polls. The people have spoken. Trump will be reinstated. Elon says comedy is legal, but then it goes on a spree of banning comedic parody accounts only a week later. And of course, Elon couldn't even be consistent about whether he wanted to buy Twitter in the first place. He did, then he didn't, then he did. And we covered all of that. I'm sure I missed some, but these illustrate the point. The only principles that I can see that Elon has reliably stuck to are disparage the previous owner's team at every opportunity, tilt the cultural outrage cycles in the direction of the very online right. Which leads me to this. Now, I have done a thread on this, and I'm going to continue to do my research. But I think she's lying. Now, when I say that she's lying, I need to specify, because the claim that I'm making is a real-world claim in which, besides the little team of lawyers that I got, I may not be in a place to make this claim and watch it go somewhere. So I'm gonna say allegedly, even if she's not lying, I think this person is the perfect example of what I meant when I said a smart person could really fuck up the day. Eliza is a quote-unquote human trafficking survivor, advocate, I don't know if those 4 words are supposed to be the way that she put it, because that's funny. She recently dug up a tweet of Yoel Roth's. Can high school students ever meaningfully consent to sex with their teachers? I was like, yo, did they catch you in 4K? So I clicked the link. A man is charged with sexual misconduct with a minor, even though the student was 18. The whole thread goes down to how do we define age within the law when dealing with situations like that and many others. Not going to read the whole thing, because once you get past the headline, you automatically, like if you click the link. In 2010, Twitter wasn't this place. Twitter wasn't this home. Twitter was share something from another website. Twitter wasn't make a declarative statement. It was usually YouTube links. Like, people weren't going back and forth on Twitter. People were sharing videos with captions. Like, quote tweeting wasn't even really like that hard of a thing. It was really just retweeting at the time. Regardless, 2010 is a very long time ago, and I know what Twitter was like in 2010. Grifters like Samira Khan, anti-woke journo, you know, the dumb bitch that we've covered before, everybody's flocking to the tweet. Now you know why images of child abuse were never removed from Twitter while he was in charge of safety. I did like this tweet, though. They finna drag you, because, like, yeah. This tweet just clarified why the term groomer was considered hate speech on Twitter. Oh, so this is why child porn was never taken off of Twitter. Got it. Eliza Blue, tagging her. This guy was in charge of policing hate speech. Trump was banned, but this was fine. We could tell you had your priorities straight, Yoel. Child abuse on old Twitter, misgendering on old Twitter. And some people like, unfreaking believable. So this is what you did at Twitter. Hassan, so like literally, isn't that one of the dudes that like did the interview and then the dude got disappeared? You're fucking lying. You're fucking lying, Globus. No way. Anyway, continuing on, because this is a serious thing and I will make jokes in the middle of it, but whatever. I think this bitch specifically did that. I think this bitch is either Elon is using her or she's using Elon. But then Elon responded, this explains a lot. Looks like Yoel is arguing in favor of children being able to access adult internet services in his PhD thesis. I'm going to read this for you because I think it's one of the coolest things I've ever read. And I think it's about time, like, instead of leftists or people battling or telling you the mainstream media approach to it, how about we just do the thing? Let's get the thought out there. But it's worth considering how, if at all, the current generation of popular sites of gay network sociability might fit into an overall queer social landscape that increasingly includes individuals under the age of 18. Even with the service's extensive content management, Grindr may be well too lewd or too hookup oriented to be a safe and age-appropriate resource for teenagers. Correct. Same as Tinder. Same as Hinge. Same as any of these dating apps. But the fact that people under 18 are on these services already indicates that we can't readily dismiss these platforms out of hand as assume locations are low-C for queer youth culture. In other words, the same way, if a bunch of kids are drinking, do you ban the drinking or do you address why they started drinking in the first place? That's where I'm not even trying to be funny, but that's where things like the Shirley Temple started coming from. You feel like this has already been a thing in our, like, we've said this. Remember those websites that used to say you have to be 13 years or older to enter or to be online? And like as a 12-year-old, you would just jump into it. You know when you used to sneak on those porn sites and it would be like, you have to be 18 years or older and you'd still click it? Do we just ban it completely until they create their own little thing that people can abuse because they're not ready for this, for security issues or people pretending to be other people online? Or do we address that and say, all right, if we carve out a space, we can monitor that specific space since the other space is already fine as it is? Rather than merely trying to absolve themselves of legal responsibility, or worse, trying to drive out teenagers entirely, service providers should instead focus on crafting safety strategies that can accommodate a wide variety of use cases for platforms like Grindr, including possibly their role in safely connecting queer young adults. That is not what Yoel is arguing in favor of children being able to access adult internet services. First of all, he's talking about queer kids. That's how I know Elon Musk wants everybody who's queer dead. That's how I know. Because you already hate them. Whether you hate them because your children are them, or whether you hate them because you just hate them. You've already made steps to go forward in all these directions that really show me I can see your end goal. For the love of God, buy Facebook also. This makes me ill. On a side note, you, Eliza Blue, and Elon Musk are what the world needs more of. Adults trying to sexualize minors in any capacity is gross, even the high-profile accounts you guys might like and are friends with. Can't give any of these guys a pass. Sets a bad example. Ian Miles Strong, big facts. And this is the confusion. This is the chaos. Big accounts like this say ways Twitter has changed since Elon Musk took over. Less child porn, less politically motivated censorship, fewer bots, more active users and engagement, more transparency. Jim Carrey left. What the fuck are you talking about? Less child porn? How would you know? Less politically motivated censorship? Are you fucking crazy? Fewer bots? That's a lie. More active users and engagement. This is the other part that I want to start to talk to you about. Look at this fucking tweet right here. The child sexual abuse material that Twitter 2.0 has removed over the last 72 hours, in some cases have been on Twitter for 4 years. That 10 million collective views. The heads of Twitter spoke in public with multiple survivors last night. Here's our conversation. Everybody's telling that Twitter does not care about this. Everybody's starting to figure it out. This disinterest in this issue shown by media and politicians alike is most telling. This is kind of weird that this was going on at the same time as the thread, which also got a little MSM tracked. They were more focused on removing conservative grannies and child abusers, and they were meeting with the FBI weekly. This is a remarkable achievement, far bigger than red team, blue team. Is just right. It is just that right now, some of the pathological people know it is wrong time to say anything good about Elon's Twitter, so this remarkable accomplishment is ignored, which is outstanding. You think people will celebrate protecting children regardless of what side you're on, and that's why he picked him. That's why he picked him. Dick writers like Dinesh D'Souza, to all the embittered Twitter censor users who insist they have amazing unappreciated skills and are now looking for jobs. I hear North Korea is hiring. I think with all that I've presented to you, now I'm skipping the part about Eliza, because I hope you can see kind of where that's headed, but there will be a specific video on that covering my thread and a bunch of the information that I'm going to build over the next month. I will probably end up finishing this research by the end of tonight for all I know, but I'm going to give myself time because I deserve time to myself, and you deserve time to yourself. Thank you for checking out this video. Tell me what you think about the conclusion that's we made. Let me know what you'd like to see down in the comments down below. Hit the like, subscribe, bell to stay notified. Community grows. We light up almost every day on Twitch at around 6-7 p.m. Sometimes I'm a lot later. You can go check the Discord and any of my other links by clicking the Twitch link down below, and you'll find out when I'm live. It just did the glitchy thing again. I guess the wire is kind of fucked up. It's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you in the next one. No, Pollen, I'm not leaving. What the fuck?